I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We worked for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big bright shiny...
What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. Welcome back, Jim White, Brother Dave White, and Super Dave Welding. Good morning, man.
Hi, everybody. Morning, everybody.
Man, I've been really feeling patriotic lately. It just feels different. I haven't really, the political stuff, the last 4 years, it's been kind of a bummer, but I don't complain or anything like that. But man, I just feel really encouraged lately. Feels good.
There's a different wind blowing, it feels like, right?
Yeah, there's hope. Yep. With that, I'd love to say the pledge. And I did see Polis ordered a half-mast today for a fallen officer.
Yeah.
I did see that, so.
The golden cop.
Yeah. Drunk driver, too.
Yeah, isn't that terrible?
That first snowstorm we had, yeah.
Yeah, they trapped the two under the car, I guess.
Yes, and there was another officer that was critically injured, too, and nobody's talked about her. It was a lady.
Yeah, I didn't get my flag down in time. I saw that when it was already gone.
Yeah, the friend we were with on vacation, her son is a fireman. So he had all the alerts and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. A side note on that, did you guys know you could buy a flag that has been used at the Capitol, and it's actually signed by the governor?
Oh,
and you
lost me.
You can then fly that.
You lost me when?
Huh? It's cool.
Do they remove it when it's still in good shape? Then
I believe it's promised to have been flown for 1 day.
Well,
so it's literally a new, but it's been flown from the Capitol.
Well, let's see who the next governor is, and if I like him up, go get one of those flags.
Yeah, let's definitely say the allegiance jam, but along with the patriotism and stuff, and I just got back from Arizona, and I noticed even coming in last night. All I really wish is everybody would pick up their signs and throw them away.
I wish that
there's a lot of trash.
Every election.
I mean, in Tucson, the signs were just lined the streets, and you're just like, it's time to take the signs down. Pick up
and put your card away while you're at it.
Yeah, put the stuff up.
So should we take Gabe Evans' sign down at Yard 23?
Not displayed. It's just out in the middle of the. It's like in the middle of 270. Where you
gotcha.
Those signs that are just left down the roadways. It'll end up being trash.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Gotcha. Well, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to go out and do some trucking today. We pray for the safety of our fleet, all of their families, and all the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. We pray for patience and in making the good, safe decisions. We pray to be accident-free and that we all make it back to the comfort of our homes this evening. We pray for healing and 100% recovery for all of our family members that are ill. No matter what, we trust you, God, and it's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
As a reminder, anything you hear on today's podcast is not the opinion of JFW's. It is just the Men in This Room's expressed opinion. Episode 157 had 248 downloads. We are at 84.4 thousand total downloads, and we are up to 648 followers.
Awesome.
It's time for the Dad Joke Challenge. Who wants to kick that off?
I can go. I'm living on the edge. It's a really good quiz question, kind of, and a joke.
Okay.
Do you guys happen to know what a penis and a spider have in common?
Man, I don't know that.
Super Dave.
No, I sure don't, Jim.
Everybody exaggerates about the size.
I can kind of follow that one up with the blonde joke. Do you guys know why the blonde wore condoms behind her ears?
Wow. No.
Because she didn't want to get hearing aids.
Ah, not bad.
Boom, boom.
What do you got, Sue?
All right, I got a golfing joke. An old man and a young man are paired together at a golf tournament. They're playing a long par 5 that doglegs around some tall trees. As the young man sets up his tee shot to hit into the fairway, the old man notes, when I was your age, we used to hit over the trees, not around. And so the young man decides, all right, fine, I'm going to readjust, and he tries to hit over the trees. But he can't clear them and loses his ball. And he tries again and loses that one too. And then the old man says, of course, when I was your age, the trees were only 6 feet tall.
That's funny.
That's awesome, Dave.
The last time I was at the dentist, they offered me dentures for $1. It sounded like a good deal at the time, but now I got buck teeth. Boom.
Oh, I got one more to follow that one up, Jam. Do you guys know the difference between a camera and a sock?
No.
A camera takes photos and a sock takes 5 toes.
Ah.
Oh.
That's
All
funny.
right, moving on.
New employees. We got Luis Quintino and Gerardo Gonzalez. Welcome to the fleet, men.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Celebrations, anniversaries. Zach Tharp hit 1 year today.
Man, that time flies.
I feel like he's been here for 5 years, though. All the things that he's done, he's a good hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good driver, good person.
Yeah,
Outstanding human being.
right.
Mike Heinrich, 1 year tomorrow. Happy anniversary, Mike.
Yeah, happy anniversary, Mike.
Francisco Alvarez, 3 years this Friday.
Wow. That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Gabe Colmenero hits 2 years this Saturday.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
you
Happy
guys.
anniversary, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before we move on to birthdays, as always, Brenda Alvarez has a message for her husband, Francisco. Good morning. Hopefully I get to these on time. This Friday will be Francisco's 3-year anniversary. Woo! Although I remind him of this every day, our kids and I want him to remember how proud we are of him. We also want to remind him that he is so appreciated and that his hard work doesn't go unnoticed.
Oh, man. That is awesome.
Sweet,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Right?
We have other supportive wives out there, so I don't want to say nobody else is, but Brenda wins the award for
Right.
the most supportive wife.
Absolutely.
Well, the most vocal about it anyway, so.
You know, as a man going to work for your family, that just feels so great.
Man, if I
to
was
know
driving
you have
around
that
today,
support, you know?
yeah, if I was driving around today and I got that message on the podcast, I'd be like, man, I feel good.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Francisco. That's awesome.
Birthdays? We don't have any birthdays, but our family has birthdays. Alan Martinez, which is not Chili Dog, but Tony Martinez's son, he turned 13 years old this past Monday. So happy birthday, Alan.
Happy birthday.
Junior Alvarez, Francisco's son, turned 4 this past Monday.
Happy
And
birthday.
Ataya Coleman, Tony Martinez's significant other, has a birthday on Friday the 15th.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Right.
Happy birthday, everybody.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Hope I pronounced her name correctly. I did it wrong last year. He sent me a couple voice texts this year to help me pronounce it correctly. So I've been practicing, and once you know, you know. So hopefully I did it right.
Hey, on the birthdays, Jam, because maybe I haven't filled something out. Do you know when you run the birthdays to? Like a podcast today, do you run them to Sunday?
I go from this past Sunday to Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. So whoever you're looking for will be announced on the next podcast.
That's all.
But let's announce it now too.
Because it could be me that I didn't fill something out that I was supposed to.
Yeah, I go Sunday to Saturday.
Okay.
Just for a week
it's
off.
It's all
Yeah.
good. You're on it. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
No problem. To check with you next week to make sure.
Right?
There we
I'll
go.
probably forget.
We did announce Erica last week. So
It's Holly's birthday.
Holly's birthday
on Sunday.
Oh yeah, so she'll get the employee and the family member birthday.
Exactly.
She'll get two announcements.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Mike Cisneros. So unfortunately on Monday we had a driver get injured. I was helping Mike hook up a trailer at the time. Told Mike, hey, you know what? I got an emergency. I got to go. And Mike dropped what he was doing to come help, and he was truly concerned about this other driver. So. And he followed up with me the other day asking, hey, is that guy okay? So thank you, Mike, for helping out. Just speaks to your heart and your character. So
Good stuff
shout
right
out
there.
to you. Yep. Coleman wants to shout out to Joanne for all the help while he was out on medical leave. I guess she helped him take care of some business. And then shout out to everyone who's been out on the Utah run. There's been lots of adversity and things we've had to face and overcome. Thank you all for the hard work and the effort going out there.
And we fought some stuff last week. You know what I mean? There was some adversity, lots of chaining, lots of issues, lots of hiccups. And
Yep.
I just want to throw an extra kudos out there to everyone that did that run last week and this week. Everyone has just done it.
Yep.
It's out of our norm, right? But it's becoming our norm because it's going to be a large portion of what we do. And everybody that's done it has been warriors. You know, you mentioned Mike Cisneros there helping out. He was one of them that was on it.
Yep.
And Chain also. And we put Jane in someone else's truck to go out there, and he and Mike stayed together. You know what I mean? They had to chain up. They faced all this adversity, and their logbooks were perfect. They just, shout out to those guys, especially because they're rock trailer guys. You know what I mean? It's definitely out of their norm, and Chain not being in his own truck. So yeah, everybody that's done it, good job. I know we've made some mistakes. I know we've got some hiccups. We're going to discuss them, but keep up the good work. I look at our creed, and every person that's done that has faced and overcome what stands before him, right?
Yeah, that run, if there's no problems, then there's no problems. But there's not room for a lot of problems on that run.
Right.
You almost got to be perfect. So
Yep.
Thank you. Shout out to the safety team and Tracy for jumping in trucks Friday morning. Last Friday, everything was shut down except for Plant 2. They needed to have 200 or 300 tons of material. And we just wanted to make sure that got done before the snow really started flying. So safety team and Tracy, who's been jumping in the truck often, it seems like he's going out of town on the run tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or Friday, I should say. So yeah, shout out to those guys.
You were part of that, Jam. All you guys, we had a small window of opportunity before the weather set in Friday morning. It cleared in the afternoon, but we had this tiny little window to knock it out, and you guys barely made it. As a matter of fact, I cut the last 2 trucks. They were en route, and I was looking at your guys' photos coming down in the in-cab camera, and I'm like, nope, nobody else can go. It's not worth it.
I got to tell you, coming down out of Young's Ranch, you got to pay attention. And, when I say we were in second and third gear coming down that hill to try not to, wipe out. And there's one corner, it's like, I don't know if my eyes were playing tricks on me or if shit was going sideways or not, but, it was slick, and it was, you got to pay attention.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that can happen in those moments, even when you're going slow, Jam, because a lot of the emergencies that happen during those moments, you have to react opposite, right? Generally we always talk about stop. You just got to stop. And, I'm totally making a story up, but if that trailer's coming around on you and you're going 3 miles an hour because you're on the brakes, you need to let off the brakes and get on the accelerator. And it's the last movement you or your body wants to do, but that's what needs to happen. And I'm making that part up, but
yeah, you got to be quick on your toes.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And sometimes do something opposite of what you feel would be your normal response.
Well, going fast definitely didn't feel like what we should do. So, so we went slow.
Well, thank you guys. Yeah. Safety team all jumped in there. I mean, everybody jumped in the truck, yourself included, and went and got it done. It was awesome.
All right. Let's talk about, the Utah run and ELDs. And Jim, you got any shout outs?
I was going to have to back you up, Jim. We were going slow, but we weren't going slow enough. I just wanted to jump in there, and I was going to say it on the prayer, and I know we're going to talk about some work comp stuff here, but we got a couple guys that got hurt and wanted to make sure they were in the prayers. We're not mentioning their names just for, personal
Privacy.
HIPAA privacy, but they still need to be mentioned that our prayers are with them, that they, get healed up here as soon as possible and get going. And I want to mention that and a shout out to them for, they're here trying to do their job and they got hurt.
Right.
That's the bummer thing, but that can happen any place. And then I just want to tell a quick story. We're talking about all the things that went wrong in Redmond or the Utah Hall, and being out of town. All I'm doing is looking through the text, looking through the emails, and you guys make it sound pretty light because you were here handling it, but holy shit, you guys, it was hit after hit after hit that I got with the texts and the emails. There was tickets for not chaining. There was over hours in the logbooks. There was, we had a truck towed. We ran too far. We did this, we did that. And, shout out to Dave here. I talked to him on Saturday and Dave's like, man, we're missing it here. We're missing it there. We're not doing it here. We're not doing it there. And I'm just like, yeah, I see all that, and for a personal note, Dave says, yeah, I said, I didn't want to drown my sorrows, but he said, I had to have a couple drinks Saturday night. He said it was a long week to end up. But where I'm going with this is I talked to him Monday morning and he was like, we got this. We got this. He said, everybody, you guys jumped in the trucks Friday. There was all the stuff dispatch did Saturday. He said, this is kind of like the Coors run. When we first started Coors, it sucked. We were like, we can't do this. Why did we take this on? We have guys doing it nights. And he was just so optimistic come Monday morning. And that's, I think, how everybody is. And one of the big things he said to me is how many great people we have here. And when you get the chain tickets or just the stupid things that you're just trying to learn and make yourself better, none of those really count for how good our people are here.
Right.
And Dave was adamant about that we got this, as bad as all the emails and texts seemed, we got this.
Absolutely.
And we'll just get better and better and better. And pretty soon it'll be nothing. We won't even think about it, but it is all new.
Yeah.
It is like, it's just not what we do. And it's in the creed. He brought that up in that conversation too. He said, everybody that's out there that made this run, whether they made a mistake or not, the one we face and overcome all that stand before us.
Absolutely.
And I just want to, we'll cover it at the end. We'll say it at the end. We'll cover it several times through here, but I want to tell everybody thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely felt like we were taking our lumps, but the saying, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's what you do when you get back up.
Yep.
And every person here got back up.
Yep.
No
doubt. Any other shout outs, guys?
I'm covered me that way, Jan. Thank you for
You're welcome.
backing up.
Thanks for remembering. All right, let's get into the Utah run and ELDs. Item number 1, Brother Dave, you mentioned no using the cruise control in adverse weather. If the roads are slick, you don't want to have your cruise control on. Some people even include rain in that. They suggest not having that on. So
I think rain up there, Jam, we're in a mountainous region. We could face freezing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There could be, your dash display could say 34 degrees and that area you're driving into, that may not have changed yet. And you hit 31 and there's just that little slick spot.
Or you hit a
Give
bridge.
you some fuel or right.
The
Jim,
bridge will freeze before the road.
So I want to clarify because we read a pretty long piece last week on, Potter challenged everyone to, perfect their craft and use their crews. And I have to say we left out one of the most important parts, not in weather events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Please use your crews, but not in weather events. And I know that sounds silly to some people why we're having to clarify that, but I think we need to clarify it.
And I think that's part of your craft though, cause the email he sent was very long and really detailed.
Right.
And I just skimmed over it. I even told him that, and I should have grabbed it again. There was pieces out of that we should read every week, basically, just to help educate people. But I think that weather piece, Dave, and you're right. We need to bring it up. We need to talk about everything, but that's learning your craft. hey, it is 32 degrees or 31 degrees. I'm not going to run with my cruise on.
Right.
You know, and where I've ran into it or feel it is that obviously the cruise will gas your truck or fuel your truck when you're not expecting it. That could be on the bridge, right? It's powering into it. But I think when it throws the jakes on, that's when it's bothered me the most, because the jakes are so powerful.
Sure.
You know, if it overspeeds when it comes on, that's where it would really worry me. And maybe it's a combination, not to take anything away from what you said, Dave, but maybe you flip the jakes off and run the cruise.
Yeah.
But again, learn your craft.
Right.
You know, soak everything up you can on that run.
Yep.
And put it to use. It's
not only the freezing conditions, but in rain, you could hydroplane.
the slick. Yeah. Or the hydroplane. Yeah.
Don't think that
Yeah.
truck won't hydroplane. It damn sure will.
Yep.
Yeah, and you just talking earlier about sometimes having to do the opposite of what we think we should do.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a cruise control on and you start slipping, you don't have control. So you got to take care of that problem first before you could even fix anything. So
Exactly.
you're not doing yourselves any favors
Yep.
like that. So
Yeah. And everybody should know, but hitting the brake kills the cruise.
right.
And you may need to step on the accelerator. That doesn't kill the cruise.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
So there's a piece to that. Yeah.
All right, next on the list. Man, this has been a topic of discussion here at JFW for a long time. Tinted windows. And typically we don't run into problems with tinted windows here in town. It seems like when we start going out of town, it's just easy pickings for DOT. When we were doing that Texas run, picking up those trucks, it seemed like every week or a couple times a week, we were hearing about violations for having tinted windows.
Yep.
Who wants to take that? Because I know you guys have your own stance on the tinted windows.
I mean, if it was me, Jam, I would take it off. You know, I just wouldn't. If you're one of the guys going out of town, it's not worth the hassle for the trooper to take it off. But I'll look right at you and go, I have tinted windows on my pickup, right? And we've allowed guys, because you made the statement, we don't get picked on here in town. Well, to do our job better, you're not supposed to have tinted windows. Do I give my personal opinion that I think the trooper, that sucks for the trooper to do that? That's a little, that's not a safety violation.
I mean, Jim, we got stopped by a trooper yesterday, right? Never a thing about the tinted windows, and I'm pretty sure that truck has tinted windows, but we weren't at a port. It was just a random stop,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Never said a word about the tinted
Sure.
windows,
Sure.
but we went to the port and got written up for tinted windows.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this is a little bit off subject, but you guys have all seen all the trucks that run around here with the different colored lights facing all sorts of different ways.
Yeah, on the dash.
On the dash, you couldn't do that over the road.
Right.
You might be able to get away with it here, but you can't do it out on the road. We can't have tinted windows out on the road.
Right.
So, Jam, I would remove it. I just wouldn't.
I think maybe if you want to run that run successfully and guarantee no problems, don't have your windows tinted. I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. And we haven't ran into anything in Utah yet.
No.
And supposedly they're building a
Super port.
Super coupe. You know, but not
somewhere out there.
Not to bring Potter up, but I remember, Dave, you've told me the story. Potter got pulled over, or Potter was doing something, Dave, and he just said, I'll take it off, right? He said, I'll just strip it off, because he just didn't want the hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to Texas
Oh, that
for
was what
something,
it was.
and I told him the story about Scooby and Sean and all the guys get hammered down there only because the trooper was sitting on the side of the road and saw one of our trucks go by with tinted windows.
Mhm.
And he got the whole group, I think 4 or 5 of them, wasn't it, Jim?
Yeah.
And Potter was like, I don't need that hassle. I'm taking it off. And
Hence easy pickings.
yeah. And so it's like, give them a reason. Well, don't take your window tint off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And refresh my memory. I want to say, you guys, Texas, it was a fine. It was like
Yeah.
$125 or
mail
something.
in or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It wasn't just, here's your sheet of paper against you,
Yeah.
right? Here's your fine and a ticket.
And
Yeah,
just
I
to
think-
be clear, any tint is
Any
illegal.
tint.
Just because a factory tint from the window, from the windshield, or the windows, I should say, that's already maxed out. You can't have anything
Maxed
more
out.
than the
Yeah.
factory.
Anybody that comes to us and goes, oh, I got the right percentage, I'm okay. No, you're not.
Yeah, because a commercial motor vehicle.
Yeah, we've
is
bought
different.
meters, we've done all the stuff,
there.
we've done, yes, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and there's a couple trucks here. I don't remember which ones. I'm sure they're at both yards.
They're
They are freaking dark. Yeah.
I don't like driving those trucks.
No, I
I
don't either.
certainly don't like dropping and hooking or, hooking up.
Yeah.
You can't see anything.
The windows go down immediately, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah, it's kind of cold out there this time of year to run to Utah and back with the windows down.
Right.
Might be a little rough.
Yeah.
It's also a sign when you pull in, if it's 10 below and you go into a port of entry with your windows down,
Right?
Yeah.
they're not idiots that work in there. They've
Right.
seen it all.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
But don't, because we're asking you to take your tint off, or we're not asking. We should suggest it. It's a stupid law. But the thing is, don't let this deter you from going and running the run.
Yeah.
This is a good run. We got lots of loads. Like we've been telling everybody, the busiest winter we'll probably ever have, or not ever have, but we've had. Yeah, to date. And yeah, it's just, we need to overcome. Don't let them set the rules. Be better than that. Let's kick butt.
Well, here's the proactive part.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the next line down. Talk about being proactive. 4 chains.
Yep.
And you guys can talk about it because you were here dealing with it.
Yeah. So chain law, when the chain law is in effect, you have to have 4 tires chains. It doesn't matter if it's the 4 outside tires or the 4 tires on the rear axle, or if you wanted to struggle and put them on the front axle, that's fine. But it's got to be 4 tires.
Absolutely.
Or drive tires.
4 drive tires, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do we, is it okay? Have we discussed it enough? Because I know you got a set of, what are there? 3 railers? Is
Yeah.
that the name of them?
Yeah.
I know a dual set of chains.
Yeah.
Cover a set of duals.
Yep.
Are we against that? Was there any more cost, Dave? Or
They're $100 more a set.
but they cover the 2 tires.
Oh, it takes care of the problem.
Yeah.
You chain the rear 4 and off you go. So, yeah. And the second part of the chain law is, again, not only 4 tires, and it doesn't matter what wheel positions. It does not matter. But there's a big difference, and we just ran into it this morning already. There's a big difference when you get up there between traction law and CMV chain law.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We had a couple guys pull over to chain this morning, and it was just for traction law. Traction law is only for vehicles, passenger vehicles.
And adequate snow tires. They're
Yes.
asking them to have adequate snow tires.
Yes,
Which
exactly.
I don't know how you know.
Which to me, 99.99% of the public has no clue.
Right. It has to say mud and snow on the side of the tire, and they have to have at least 1/8 of an inch of tread is the rule.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Sure.
So you don't need to chain with traction law. Traction law has nothing to do with a CMV, which CMV stands for commercial motor vehicle. When you guys see CMV chain law, you need to stop and chain. Usually it says where we're at and what to do it. And just because we're going through it and learning, we're going to try and contact everybody. Like we held everyone up this morning. We knew a little storm was coming through because we didn't want anybody to have to chain. It's just faster, right?
Mhm.
If there's no chain law up, we just blow through. I would rather drag my feet a little bit and blow through. And that won't work on every trip.
Right.
But, we have plenty of time. Even if we leave here at 7 or 8, that gives us enough time to make it to Redmond and load and stay at the hotel,
Mhm.
or continue to drive depending on our drive time.
how much
that's
time.
left. So, and that brings up one more thing that was just brought to us is while you're outside chaining, very, very, very important, have your phone on you. And that's for 2 reasons. Because we were able to catch the 2 guys today and keep them from chaining, which saved them a ton of time and wear and tear on the chains and just drive time. But also, if something were to happen and you had a slip and fall or something like that, and you were outside the truck and you didn't have your phone on you, not safe at all. So keep your phone on you outside that truck.
And I think with that, Dave, and I know it's the next thing, but I'm in a bad habit. If I put my phone in my car on a mount, because I have that, I often get out and forget it.
Sure.
And the phones have to be mounted, and I know we're going to go to that. So there's that step, because otherwise I just know my phone's on me all the time. I would get out, do my stuff and chain because my phone's on me. But
Absolutely.
your phones have to be mounted in some kind of mount where you can visually see it to be running an ELD. That's something we learned also. So
Yep.
you got to, Dave's saying it, you got to pay attention, grab your phone, take it with you if you have it on the mount in the truck, which to me is really easy to forget. I forget it all the time once it's mounted.
Perfect example is the driver that got injured the other day. He was able to call us from his trailer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he didn't have his phone on him and he couldn't get up to, like,
Right.
you know,
How long would he have laid there?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a good safety feature.
Yep.
Yep.
Jim, you did just touch on it. Phone must be mounted in a fixed position. This isn't for distracted driving purposes, which is also a good reason to have it mounted,
Mm-hmm.
but it is the law, and we did get a ticket for that. It can't be on your seat, can't be in a cup holder, it can't be in a cubby hole. It's got to be in a fixed position where you're able to see your hours of service. Next on the list, the bill of lading information. Okay, what is the bill of lading information? Once you guys get loaded, your ticket will have a number on it. That's your bill of lading number for all purposes of this law. But that needs to be entered in your ELD.
And Jam, is it just the ticket number? That's all that needs to be in there? Doesn't need to say like loaded, like Redmond companies or I don't know, Envirotech services or anything like that?
I don't think there's a place for that.
Okay.
But if there is, yeah, I mean, the more information you guys fill out on this ELD, the better.
Right.
You know, there's always a spot for remarks. Make the remarks, you know. So when you get loaded in Redmond, you're going to show your location, you know, on the ELD in the logbook itself. So that will correspond with the bill of lading number. But yeah, I don't believe there's a place for what you're mentioning.
Yeah, we don't have it on here, Jam, but I will bring up just because you made me think of it. When you do put remarks on your logbook,
Keep them appropriate.
Keep them professional, would you? You know what I mean? If you just stop for a break, just take right break, you know, or bathroom break or whatever. Just keep it professional on there. We see those, and anytime we can be audited, you know, they can look at those. And how do you want to appear to the State Patrol if they're auditing your, you know, or looking at your logbooks? So,
yeah. I mean, good point. I'll just leave it at that. Another requirement is the in-cab materials. If you get pulled over for an inspection, you will be asked by the DOT officer for your in-cab materials. I've asked a few drivers if they know where they're at. I've got responses like in the glove box and wherever, right? That's not where they're at. They're actually on your phone. They're in the Samsara app. But to get to it, you need to be logged out. The in-cab materials are in the sign-in screen of Samsara. So when you go to that screen, you'll see it'll be very specific. It'll say ELD in-cab materials. You click on that, and you will see the ELD manual. This is a manual that tells you how to use the ELD. The other thing you'll see is the sheet transfer instructions. That is how you transfer your logbook to the DOT officers, right? So they're not going to ask you to memorize what's in there. They're going to ask you if you have those materials, and if you do, great. And all you have to do is log out and show it to them. I would suggest reading both of those, though. Read the manual and read the transfer sheet instructions. The transfer sheet instructions are going to be important to know how to use the ELD to actually give them your logs. So, does that make sense?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Jam. It's kind of one of those things about perfecting your craft. When a state patrolman stops you and you don't have a clue of what you're doing,
You're in trouble.
yeah, you're in deep doo-doo, because if you know what you're doing and you can explain to him what you're doing and it makes sense, pretty good odds he's going to realize you know what you're doing and let you go.
Mm-hmm.
So just be aware, read that, go through that, because it is frustrating. It isn't something we've done, right? It isn't something we've been doing. It isn't something we've trained anyone on, but we're trying really hard to educate everyone as we're going through this process.
Case in point, I got a call from a driver at the port. He says, "Hey, Jam, they're asking me for my logs." I'm like, "Okay, are they asking you for your local timesheet? You know, why are you calling me?" You know, that's not what I told him. I was polite, but I was just trying to figure out what exactly does this driver want. And I could hear the DOT officer in the background say, "We want the in-cab materials." Okay, so he wasn't even asking for the logs. He was asking for something else. So yeah, educate yourself as BD just said, perfect your craft, know what you're talking about. It's just like when you get pulled over and you open the door and McDonald's bags falls out on the ground. You don't look like you're organized. Well, if he can't even keep the cab of his truck clean, what else isn't in order? I bet his logbook isn't in order, stuff like that. So,
yeah. Also it's like when they ask you for your driver's license and you don't have your driver's license on you, be
Right.
organized. We ran into that too with something else Dave told me about. We were giving out fuel cards to get fuel. One of the drivers left the fuel card in at his house for his second trip. Guys got to carry those, got to have those with you. It's just everything's a little different, but you got to be proactive. You got to be ready to go on your trip. Got to be on top of it.
The joke from the old days is, you got your logbook? Yeah, which one you want?
Right?
Can't do that anymore. All right, let's talk about adverse weather and when you could use an adverse weather condition exception. Okay, this was another learning experience for us. You can use adverse weather to get to your safe haven at the end of your trip. Okay, and what we mean by that is, if you leave Commerce City here and the chain law is up on Genesee or Vail or any of those passes, okay, that is in the beginning of your trip, and you cannot use adverse weather conditions in those moments. Adverse weather would be used at the end of your trip to extend your drive time to be able to make it to a safe haven. Okay, so meaning you are 90 minutes from the hotel, okay, and there's a snowstorm and you're at 11 hours of driving, you can switch over to the adverse weather conditions because you are currently in adverse weather trying to make it to your safe haven. Make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Jim?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm still struggling with that a little bit.
I think the word you used was currently.
Current, yeah.
Yeah.
The way it's explained is you can't even, if you knew there was weather ahead of you, you can't even use it.
Right.
Is the way that it's described in the FMCSA website. Like, it's got to be, you have had no knowledge of this weather.
There's a lot of gray area in it. The way they explain it, Jam, you can interpret things many different ways, but regardless, we have every opportunity to stop at our 11 hours driving.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
So I think that's the big thing is we need to stay under that 11 hours driving and under that 14 hour on duty.
Yeah. And that's the way the DOT officer explained to me. Is like, yeah, he used adverse weather, but at, 6 a.m. this morning, it's, 6 p.m. at night right now.
Right. Why didn't you stop here or here or
Right.
here or here?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You just extended your trip when you did not need to. There was plenty of safe havens, is
Yes.
the way you explained it. I like
Yes.
it. Okay. We just already mentioned it. You can't drive over 11 and you can't be on duty more than 14 hours. Otherwise, you are in violation. Okay. Unless you had an exception. Okay. And then, Jim?
I just want to mention on that too, you guys, the run's been ran easily, lots of loads, except for the chaining part of it, where you go to Redmond, you get loaded and you make it to Grand Junction. You can easily make it to Grand Junction on a good run.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't dilly-dally just because you don't want to stay in Grand Junction or there's another thing. That's not what this is for. There is, we know how the run can be run now. But also, when you get to those 11 hours, dispatch is going to try to still help watch. But, that's also the reason for your ELD being in a cup holder. Here's your hours. Call somebody and go, I'm not going to make this. Where can I stay?
Right.
Again, you're the captain of the ship. We had a driver run way over hours because he was just trying to get the job done. Most of the time, we're trying to get the job done.
Where else can you stay?
What, Green River? One of them. And
Absolutely.
then,
Green River, Salina,
Yep.
Fruta,
We have
Grand
options
Junction.
for you.
We have
Yeah.
options, and we will help when we get into those events. We're going to help with that. But also, it's part of your job. If you get to Redmond and you load and you show you only have 2 hours of drive time left, you're not going to make it. You need to stay in Salina or Green River. So, but one of the big parts that we haven't really talked about is please communicate. I think it sounds kind of redundant, but I think if you're going to stop and put on chains, it might be worth a call if the road conditions look good to you to call dispatch and go, hey, I'm showing chain conditions are up or chain laws are up. Can you just verify that for me? I'm going to stop and chain and the roads look perfectly fine. And let us help with that decision making. The same goes for if you load at Redmond and you only show 2 hours drive time. Hey, I'm only showing 2 hours drive time. Ask, should I stay in Salina or should I, make it to Green River or,
Right.
Hell, worst case scenario, we joked yesterday, we can have you hop off at the Moab exit and go south into Moab and stay at a hotel, because once you've left Green River, there's not a lot of choices.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And the thing too, Dave had a really nice discussion with one of the drivers. They were talking about, being done for their day by the time they're loaded and maybe staying in Green River, but you have an hour's worth of drive time left. That just means you have to drive another hour the next day. So we don't want there to be a confusion too. If you could drive 11, you only drive 10. That means instead of driving 8 the next day, you have to drive 9. And we're trying to have you use as much as your time so that when you get back here in town, you can grab a couple loads.
Right. Fill that window.
Yeah. Fill that window. We're just trying to same hours you would work here in town. That's all we're doing.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about yard move. Yard move can only be used on private property when loading or unloading. Okay, this isn't for fueling. It's not for on duty, not driving. It is for when you're in Redmond getting loaded or when you're unloading here in town. So yard move can only be used on private property with no public roads intersecting. So if you're at a fuel station or anywhere else, it can't be used. So I've been seeing that on some logs. Also, the point of yard move is if you're in Redmond, you are able to drive over 5 miles an hour when you're in yard move. Typically, your ELD is going to kick you to driving when the truck reaches 5 miles an hour. Yard move, you could move up to 19 miles an hour without being put into driving. The thing is, the speed limit at Redmond is 15 miles an hour. Okay, so if you're doing 15 miles an hour and you're in yard move, you're going to be fine. The other thing about yard move, which you can use to your advantage, is that time can be used for your 30-minute break as long as it's continuous.
Oh, I didn't know that, Jim.
Yeah, so if you're in yard move for 20 minutes and you haven't taken your 30 yet and you're done loading, hang out another 10 minutes.
Right.
That counts as your break.
Right. That's
Okay.
huge. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ah, very cool. That's kind of a little aha moment.
Yes.
Who found that?
But-
Don't remember.
Huh.
But you've already driven 8 though.
You got to do it before your 8-hour break.
8 hours. Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
they
You have to take your 30-minute break in the first 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I just didn't want somebody
7
to get,
hours and 59 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't want somebody to get confused that, hey, I made it to Redmond. I'm going to do my half an hour because it's a yard move, but you're past your 8 hours. I
Sure.
Right.
didn't-
Yeah, you
I
got to
mean,
do it before that.
If weather's good, theory says you can make Redmond under 8.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, guys are doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
if you run into adverse weather conditions, you're not going to make it and you need to stop somewhere and take your 30.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a key.
Yeah.
That's a little key component there. Every part of this trip is kind of right on the cusp of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're right on the edge of making Redmond and using your yard move for your 30 minutes, you know,
Right.
grabbing fuel and getting back to Grand Junction in under your 11 drive time. I mean, we're just under all these wires,
Mhm.
you know, so that's actually kind of cool.
But it's perfecting your craft.
It is. It's good to know stuff.
This is how it can be ran.
Yep.
Last thing I got on the ELD discussion is if you start your day on the ELD, you must finish it on the ELD. So
Yes.
when you're coming back on day 2 and you hit town, you don't log out of your ELD and switch over to hourly. You got to finish your day on the ELD.
Correct.
Okay. That local exception, you have to start and stop in the same place in order to use a 14-hour rule. So, yep. That's it on the ELDs and the Utah run, guys, unless you have anything else you want to add.
Just thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
I want to encourage everyone to go.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's we've kind of heard some pretty party stories already about some good times that has happened over there. Some, I'm not going to mention any names, but some tattoos have been had and
Yeah.
some parties have been attended and
Just got to watch the spelling on the tattoos.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
We the Popel.
Yep. So it sounds like a fun trip to me.
Yep.
It just reminds me of that. I don't even know what the commercial's for. It might be insurance or whatever, but it's for the Kansas City Chiefs. And they show the coach it's a Snickers commercial. Guy's all proud on how he labeled the field and the whole bit. And the coach walks up, Bill Belichick, right? Is that
Andy Reid?
Andy Reid walks up and goes, that looks great. But who's the chefs?
That's funny. Well, that one movie with the guy, he's got the chest tattoo. It says no regrets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too funny.
All right. Questions from the audience. Gilly, he has a question. He wants to know if we can make chain classes mandatory. Oh, I see a finger in the air.
Well, no, we did. We did it last week, I guess.
It was a pointer finger, not
It
the...
was a point. I was pointing to God. Did we talk about Veterans Day Monday last week?
We did.
We did cover it right last week?
Yep, we did. And what's next?
Yeah.
But I will tell you that we saw Armando Del Valle yesterday, and he looked full from all the free food he had on Veterans Day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
Good.
He
I
takes...
didn't understand that conversation you had until just now. I didn't understand that. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a list of restaurants that give free food to veterans. So he takes the day off and just goes and eats for free everywhere.
That's awesome. He deserves it.
But yeah, yesterday was like, oh man, I feel like I was going to throw up. I was so full. So
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Thank you.
Well-
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
for-
well deserving. Thank all the veterans. Before I had a chance to make an announcement, somebody did. And yeah, thank you everyone that served. I know I'm sure appreciative for my freedoms, and I know all you guys are too. And we thank you for your time and your dedication. And you put your life on the line for us, and thank you for that.
amen. Getting back to, can we make the chain classes mandatory? Man, I mean, we could. And I would just hope that if you don't know how to chain, we had 4 chain classes this year. So to me, if you don't know how to chain, you would think that you would go and want to learn how to do that, because it's important.
And I'll reiterate, if you need a chain class, please get with one of us to schedule it. We can't just drop what we're doing, especially at the end of our shift, and just run out and do it in the dark. If you want to schedule it because you're prepared to go and you're worried about not knowing how to chain, we are more than happy to help, but give us the opportunity to schedule it. We can't just drop what we're doing and go do it. It, takes every bit of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe even longer, depending on how much chit chat goes on. It's not something you do quick. There's a lot of explanation to it, but it is easy. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
We could probably talk you through it if you're on the side of the road, right?
Yeah. I think with that though, you guys, and love the question. There's so many things we could make mandatory,
Right.
and we just don't want to.
Right. We can make listening to this podcast mandatory, and that would probably solve half our problem.
Right. It would a lot. But the thing too is we talk about being an advocate for yourselves, and we've talked about it on here. I call it YouTube U.
Mm-hmm.
We've all nicknamed that YouTube University. Just grab some videos, you guys. There's a lot of great videos on tips and tricks to do everything with your truck. The trucking community is huge, and you can, if you just spend a little time, you can educate yourself along with us helping educate you, because we want to educate you also. But if you're in a pinch, check out a video. It'll help you.
Yep.
You can help you.
Yeah. I mean, the big videos I watched that helped me the most was programming my damn garage doors. That was, depending on what style you have, it's a pain in the ass.
Right.
Working on my furnace, man. I've saved
You mentioned
hundreds
that.
of dollars.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we going to skip the what's next?
I didn't have anything for what's next.
I
You
have
got
something for what's next.
What's
Can I say
next?
it? Can I
Yeah.
say it? Can I
Well,
say it?
that's the reason I brought up
Sweet.
Veterans Day. Did we talk about that? Was what's next? Why didn't you jump in?
Well, that was last week.
I know, but I want.
What's next is this coming week. Saturday.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what Saturday is?
I know I'm off.
Saturday. Dave, you know what Saturday is.
Saturday.
Man, you guys are letting me down. Train the trainers.
Oh,
It is true.
man.
We got a train the
trainers.
trainers meeting Saturday.
Hmm.
That's a big meeting for our
It is,
trainers.
It is. Ken sent you the text to remind you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wrote it down. Train the trainers. Do you guys know what Saturday is?
Train the trainers.
I know I'm off Saturday. So can we make chain classes mandatory? I don't think we're going to make it mandatory, Gilly, but we would ask that if you don't know how to chain, please learn, and don't ask us at 5:20 at night.
And I think there's a lot of guys that have just ran this run that maybe got chain tickets. Anyway, it's fresh in their mind. I bet a lot of them can help
Yeah.
right now. I bet we have some trained chain people.
Chainers.
Chainers.
Yeah, not trainers, but chainers.
Chainers.
The other thing to help us out, I had a call on Saturday afternoon. Hey, I'm going into town Monday. I need to be set up on the ELD. Well, I guess I'll see you Monday morning at 5.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that driver would have liked to have left at 3 a.m., but, you know, you got to help us help you a little bit.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Safety topic of the week. And this is a big one this week. And it is titled 3 points of contact at all times.
I got to back up one more time?
Yeah, back it up.
Ben.
Back it up
I
like
mean,
a dump truck.
And it's a little bit of a complaint, but the only reason I want to complain about it a little bit is please don't send texts at 10 or 11 o'clock at night unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
We all have our phones on 24/7. And any text I get in the middle of the night, I look at it. It wakes me up. It's too important. We have Coors guys running at night. We have night mechanics. We have wash bay people. And if you have a question, please review the question and send it in the appropriate hours. I know there was just a text. I won't bring it up because I don't want to badmouth the person or anything, but just watch your texts, make sure they're in the business hours, unless it's an emergency or something. You know, we had a hydraulic line break last night, not late, but late. Those are texts that we all have to handle, be aware of in case we need to send somebody out to fix the hydraulic leak. But please watch your texts if you would. I'd appreciate that.
Amen. All right. 3 points of contact at all times to prevent falls and injuries while entering and exit trucks or trailers, as well as when climbing on or off equipment. So the policy is going to be, you must maintain 3 points of contact. Always maintain 3 points of contact with the vehicle or equipment when climbing or descending. This means having both feet and one hand or both hands and 1 foot in contact with the vehicle at all times. By the way, if you haven't picked up on this, we've had 2 accidents that could have been prevented by using 3 points of contact. And these injuries are serious. They're not like, oh, I fell and, you know, I'm a little banged up today. I'll come back tomorrow. Yeah, these both involved hospitalization and extended time periods off of work. You want to use designated access points. Use handrails, steps, and ladders provided for safe access. Do not jump from the vehicle or equipment. You want to face the vehicle. Always face a vehicle or equipment when climbing or descending. Some other considerations: footwear. You want to wear sturdy closed-toe footwear with good traction to prevent slips and falls. Handholds. Ensure handholds or handrails are clean and dry and free of grease of oil. Weather conditions. This is really important. Use extra caution in wet or icy conditions. Not just climbing up and down, but even walking through the yard. You know, we talk about the poopy walk, you know, to make sure you don't slip and fall. A couple of us I know have cleats that just kind of strap onto the outside of your boots. Those really work well, and I would highly suggest those. And remember, 3 points of contact policy is a simple but effective way to prevent falls and injuries. Always prioritize safety when entering, exiting, or working on trucks or equipment. If you have any questions or concerns, consult with your supervisor or safety manager. So yeah, I mean, if you think about slip and falls, a lot of times we just think about, oh, somebody fell, but injuries, man, who wants to be hurt?
Oh, yeah.
You know? By the way, if you are found not being in adherence of our safety policies or doing something that, you know, we have a policy on and you get hurt doing it, there is a 50% indemnity rule. In workers' compensation, an employee may lose up to 50% of their lost time compensation benefits if their injury was caused by willfully failing to use required safety devices or willfully failing to follow a reasonable safety rule, being intoxicated by alcohol, 0.10 BAC or higher, testing positive for marijuana or other prohibited drugs. If the 50% rule applies, the employee will still receive all medical benefits until they reach maximum medical improvement. So it's just talking about your wages, right? So if you're hurt on a job, you're entitled to wages. But if you're hurt on a job and you fail a drug test or alcohol test, or you weren't in adherence with the safety policy, you can or may lose up to 50% of your wages.
Yep. Absolutely. So it costs you too. That's what we're just pointing out.
Right.
It costs you, it costs us, and you're the one hurt. We can't have those. We're going to bring this up again. We have to bring all of this to everybody's forefront. And we just talked about it on several of the podcasts coming up to this point about the liners, the truck, the ice, all that kind of stuff in our snow notes for this year.
Right.
And we'll have the yard full of ice and that poopy walk. You're spot on, but we have to make it that it costs you too, and it costs you guys the most because you're injured.
Yeah.
And we don't want that.
Nobody likes being hurt.
Yeah.
Tips and tricks from Ray Davis. Knowing your materials and the difference in the materials. We haul different materials every day to plants. We haul 3/4 wash to many plants, and it is called different names at different plants. It can be called 3/4 wash, 5767 rock, 57, and just 67 rock. Yes, it is the same rock, but some plants may call it a different name. Main thing is always read your Toro. We also haul 3/4 river rock. River rock is 3/4 wash river rock, but it is in a different color and shape. It's basically smooth compared to granite, which will have the jagged edges.
Absolutely.
Coming from the side of a mountain versus the bottom of a riverbed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
100% fractured face or smooth,
There you go.
right?
That sounds like some ready mix lingo there.
Alluvial.
Right.
If you are ever not sure what bin or stockpile to dump in, ask. If there is no one there, climb up on the trailer, grab a handful, and compare it to the materials in the bins, and make sure it is the correct bin. It is better to take an extra few minutes to double check than to dump in the wrong bin or stockpile. You should always familiar yourself with all the materials at pits and bins and plants. Also, do you know the difference in washed and dry? Washed always goes to a concrete plant and dry to an asphalt plant. But the biggest thing is always ask, just don't load anything just because. You should ask if you don't know, make a call and check first. The dumbest question is the one never asked. Hope all is well with the JFW family, friends, and listeners. Remember, safety has no blind spot. Sit up in that stool, looking lean, don't be that fool. Remember, it's safer to be slow than sorry. Much love and respect always, a black sheep, Ray, 0013.
Nice job again, Ray.
Yeah.
I heard this one was recycled, but
It was modernized.
gotcha.
Yeah, so.
It didn't sound familiar to me, so good job, Ray.
Yeah, I was just wondering, listening to that, and I mean, you compare the materials, like he said, Jam, and like you read and stuff like that. Find somebody, ask somebody, maybe even contact dispatch at a last resort. But I think if we can't get a hold of anybody and you can't get it solved, maybe dump away from the pile just a little bit. Leave some space where it could be moved if there's any kind of question. You don't have to dump it out in the middle of the yard. You don't have to dump it right on the pile. Just move away a little bit and dump it. But by saying that, I also don't want somebody go, oh, I didn't know where it went, and they just dump it, right? We always got that gray area, the interpretation. It's just something when you've exhausted all your resources, this is what you could do to get dumped.
Sure. Makes sense. So, want to hit us with that high road haul?
High road hauling.
Sure. So in the high road haulings of past, we've talked about self-esteem and things that will help you be successful in life. If you need to increase your self-esteem, you need to build confidence. So today's high road hauling is specifically about confidence. Confidence is a belief in oneself, the conviction that one has the ability to meet life's challenges and succeed. Being confident requires knowledge of one's capabilities and understanding what it takes to achieve one's goals. Projecting confidence helps people gain credibility, make a strong first impression, deal with pressure, and tackle personal and professional challenges. It's also an attractive trait as it helps put others at ease. So you might be thinking, how do you build confidence? Confidence is not innate. It's not a fixed characteristic. It's an ability that can be acquired and improved over time. Anxiety can take hold when people are plagued by self-doubt. So putting themselves in and getting accustomed to the specific situations they fear can assure people that nothing truly bad will happen, and that activity gets easier with practice. One can gain a sense of confidence from personal and professional accomplishments. Continuing to set and achieve goals can enable the belief that one is competent and capable. How can I improve my confidence on a daily basis? Being confident means knowing that you can handle the emotional outcome of whatever you'll face. Begin by acknowledging every emotion, including difficult emotions, rather than avoiding them. Speaking up for yourself, limiting self-criticism, and other strategies can help build emotional strength and the confidence that comes with it. How do I build confidence in a specific situation? Well, confidence is not all-encompassing. You can have high confidence in some areas and low confidence in others. In whatever new domain you choose, hone your skills and develop self-efficacy. I knew I was going to have trouble with that word. By watching others, practicing yourself, and taking advice from the experts. Overconfidence versus underconfidence. A realistic appraisal of one's abilities enables people to strike a healthy balance between too little and too much confidence. Too little confidence can prevent people from taking risks and seizing opportunities, such as in school, at work, or in their social life. And too much confidence can come off as cockiness, arrogance, or narcissism. Overestimating one's abilities might also lead to problems such as failing to complete projects or overlooking important details. And what are the reasons someone might have low confidence? A few of the ingredients that determine a person's confidence level include genetics, temperament, cultural background, and early life experiences such as parenting style or past trauma. Although those elements are generally out of our control, there's still plenty of ways to gain confidence throughout our lives. And the link between confidence and competence. Research has suggested a link between confidence and performance, which can impact perceived competence. Confidence will increase with training. The more you train, the more you learn, and the more confident you are in your abilities, and that directly corresponds to a higher achievement level in work, school, athletics, and even relationships. Being all that you can be is dependent on many external and internal issues, but if you feel your confidence needs a boost, remember to set achievable goals, be prepared by doing your homework, and celebrating when you reach a goal. And a goal not reached is not a failure, but an experience to learn from. And the quote this week by none other than Helen Keller is, which blows me away because that lady was deaf, dumb, and blind, and she achieved more than I'd say most people do in a lifetime.
What does the dumb part mean?
Can't speak. Which is a byproduct, really, of not being able to see or not being able to hear.
Right.
So you can't learn to speak, which she did eventually. She did learn to speak. But
Man, I bet you couldn't call somebody that these days.
Right.
Deaf,
Yeah.
deaf, mute, and blind, probably.
Mute,
right?
yeah.
And her quote is, "Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence."
Ooh. Love it.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Really good.
So true. Super. I'll go or jump in there because mine really, attaches itself to that when you talk about confidence. Because it's hard to ask, I guess, because I want to lead into my deal. But when you're working on your confidence, what are you doing? You're you're trying to make yourself better, you're learning. It could be so many aspects. And my quote here is, a seed grows with no sound, but a tree, when it falls, makes a huge noise. Destruction has noise, but creation is quite quiet. This is the power of silence. Grow silently.
Wow.
And I just, it felt like it really went with that, Dave, because as you're learning, you know, because you confidence, I like some people because they can be cocky in a way that's like, oh, you're confident. You feel good in yourself. You have to have that, you know, but then you got that, you go over the hill a little bit and you're like, you're just
Cocky.
Yeah.
you know, and it bothers you, you know, but also sometimes you've just put in the time. You're that good. You've earned that. But I bet the whole time you were earning it, you were doing it very silently. You know, it was all those hours of practice or going to Utah, going to Redmond by yourself, learning
Right.
your craft in that truck.
That's going to build confidence.
Confidence, exactly. And you ended up doing it silently, you know, all the way there, all the way back. And
Two things. One, you should say that quote for the Silent Warrior luncheon this year. I think that's a good one.
Good. That's good.
And then I think for me, confidence is learning to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've, like you said, you've done the homework where, you know what, I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, versus cocky where you're letting everybody know. My buddy's got a t-shirt that says, be humble, but let I'll just say everybody know.
But that's it, Jam. I mean, there's that such a fine line because to believe in yourself, you got to be confident. You got to have that air about you. You
right.
know?
Otherwise, you won't make that first step.
No.
Oh, I can't. Right. And we talk about that all the time. Talking about I can or I can't.
Are you the can or can't person?
Yeah. You know, it's making that shot or a basketball shot or throwing that pass or, you know, making it to Redmond back, chaining, you know, all your tires and no logbook violations and boom. I can do that. I'm confident.
Right.
I can do that.
Heck
you know?
yeah.
Yeah. It's just I don't think there's a better feeling than that. You know, when you have that confidence, especially when you've self-earned it.
Confidence in that shot, right, Jam?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, but I want to remain humble.
I get it, but you and I talked pretty in depth about it Saturday, and what Jim just explained is exactly what you did. You had the confidence only because you had educated, you had all the tools, you had the knowledge, you had the understanding, you didn't have the experience, but you had everything to create your ability to take that shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's exactly what he's talking about.
Yep.
I mean, like hands down.
I mean, I'll speak on it a little bit because you brought it up, but I tested it. You know, I tested it not to 705 yards, but to 500 yards.
Right.
And I got the data and I did research and I had 3 different apps and, well, this one says this one says that, and they're all kind of coinciding. Well, yeah, it did. When the moment came, it's like, it's time to step up. This is what you've been practicing for. And everything. Now, the confidence was gained once that buck dropped. I'm like, it was like magic. So yeah, then the confidence was like, wow, this really is truly proven data and it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And because there's lots of answers to my question, Jam, and hopefully I can get you pop out with the first one. But to make that shot and practicing that and to do that, why did you do that? Why did you practice that? Why did you need to practice that? I mean, what's the end results? And it's not filling your freezer.
Yeah. I mean, mainly you're taking a life, you know, so for me in this situation, you know, life is valuable, whether you think, you know, human lives are more valuable than animal lives or however you look at it. But to be blessed to be able to harvest an animal, there has to be respect. And when there's a life on the line, I didn't want to take a shot and injure the animal or gut shoot it or cause it unnecessary pain or miss. You know what I mean?
Miss is the worst, right? But it's not the worst. It's not the worst.
Miss is almost a blessing.
You answered it just like I was after, Jam, because that's the what if,
right?
Because why would you want to hurt that animal where it suffers?
There's a hunter's prayer, and I don't know the whole thing, but it's like, I pray that I kill clean, but if I miss clean.
Yes, I like that.
I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just, back to this stuff. It's the confidence to do this run. Because when we miss, it hurts.
Lives are on the line.
Lives are on the line, and it hurts all of us. And we'd rather have a clean miss
yes,
than not. So it's great high road hauling.
Yep.
Super Dave. That confidence can be put in so many places.
Absolutely. Booty?
Education is clear in all the decisions we make. I don't know another word to use for you, Jam, but I'm going to say you had an educated guess. And I don't know if guess is the right word, but you made an educated decision. You didn't just look at that animal through the scope and go, well, I'm going to raise the gun X inches and pull the trigger.
Right.
You had, just like you said, all the data.
Yeah, I knew the bullet was going to drop 122 inches.
Right.
I knew how much to die.
Right.
And it was like, honestly, guys, like, having that experience is one of the best things that ever happened to me. Mm-hmm. To be able to, I don't know that would ever happen again.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, and I wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah.
And I tried to talk myself out of it a few times. And then I just felt like, wow, this is the opportunity. And even leading up to the point, it's like, all right, well, do this and then see how it feels. And then do this and see if you really want to do it. And then everything was just lined up. And it's like the rest was an out-of-body experience. Like something else took over throughout the rest of that process. It was crazy.
I think your education, I think that's what, when all else fails, it's the education that kicks in.
It was just funny, Jam, because I talked only because we were at my brother-in-law's house, and he's a pretty avid hunter, and he takes his kids hunting and stuff.
Sure.
And, they've been going for 25, 30 years, right? And I told him about the shot you had, and he's like, oh man, he goes, I don't even attempt it. He said, about 300's my limit. I don't even mess with anything beyond that. But he has none of the data you have.
Right.
Right. And then his wife, she doesn't go hunting. She's been on the trips, but she doesn't hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it was kind of funny because she's like, well, how did he even see to hit it? Like you took your scope off of it instead of adjusting for the shot. Her thought was you just raised the gun up and pulled the trigger, right?
Oh, no.
Like you lifted the gun. Cause I told her when you told me that was just impressive to me, that bullet dropped 122 inches, and you're like, okay, so you have to adjust for all that.
Right. Where
Where in her eyes, oh, you just lift the gun up X amount, right? How many degrees do I raise the gun to make that shot?
That's funny.
And as I'll use the word, I'm ignorant when it comes to that, right? So it was cool to learn your process and understand that, you know what I mean? Because not knowing it, I would sit there and think, what do you do? Just raise the gun up,
Man, just so you know, I had a weather meter with me, like that I was plugging in different times throughout the day, which didn't affect things as much as I thought. Like extreme cold changed things, but I learned a lot by just keep like running the weather and look at my calculations and doing all these things. And, the first time I went hunting, I went with a group of guys that are hunters, and all my rifle experience has been long range precision. Not that I was now I would consider myself a long range precision shooter because it was precise. Until that day, I wasn't. I was, practicing.
Right.
But they used to talk about, well, if it's 400 yards, hold a half a elk high.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what does that even mean? What is that? Like a full-grown elk, a calf, or a cow? Like, how do you hold a half a elk high at 400 yards? And I mean, that isn't data. That's like,
that's winging it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew my muzzle velocity. I knew there was a lot into it, but honestly, like having all that data made it easy.
Yes.
It was like, oh, I got it down 12.2, and there was no wind, which made it just. Now I don't have to, half the problem is eliminated, more than half. And it's just like, and I got on got behind the rifle, and my reticle was just the solidest it's ever been. It wasn't moving with anything. And I was like, oh, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Send it.
So how do we take all of that you just said and relate it to the Redmond Run?
Well,
You know what I mean? All the data you have, all the research you've done, all the education you created for yourself, and what other people had told you, we need to look at that and apply that to this run.
right. Do we got guys going out there holding a half elk high,
Right.
or they got the data and the dialing? There's a
Exactly.
difference. You know,
Exactly.
and honestly, I think it boils down to interest in what you're doing.
Yeah, it's your passion, and I think that's, but on that, I think there's a combination that me and Dave would want as owners, that you find that passion, but you also take that passion for whatever you have and let it bleed over into a lot of things in your life.
Sure.
Right, Dave?
Absolutely.
You're driving, your relationship,
Yes.
your kids. Some people are so passionate about this, but they miss letting that bleed over into their other things, which driving a truck where you could hurt somebody is where that needs to bleed over. I think it's the importance. And there's lots of jobs like that. There's a lot of dangerous jobs.
Yeah. We've talked about, you're talking about, having passion bleed over to other areas of your life. And we've talked about this. The way you do one thing is probably how you do everything.
That's a spot on point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I joke, but my joke used to be like, I could tell a lot about a man by how deep he squats. Right. And I'm not talking about somebody with a hurt back or bad knees. I'm talking about a healthy person. I would learn a lot just by watching them squat. Like, oh, he's not really squatting. Like, I wonder what else he's cheating on.
He didn't really put that basket up. He only put it on the curb.
There you go. Yeah. When you return your carts, do you push it into the other cart?
Do you lock it in there?
Or do you just throw it in the corral?
So hopefully the wind will blow it out.
Yes. Yes.
Which one are you, BD?
Yeah. There was a kid, a mom made her daughter go put the cart back, and the little corral had like 3 carts in it, and both were at the end. Hers was the third cart.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 were kind of aimlessly put in there, kind of crooked, and hers didn't fit. You know how they develop into the next cart, right? And they fold into each other, and she just kind of threw it in there, and I showed up, and like my cart, I would have just left it outside the corral. And I'm like, and she's walking off, and I kind of did the head shake, like, oh man,
Damn it, Jim.
right. And I had to everybody that watched me had to be like, wow, this dude's anal about his carts. Cause I had to fix the corral, had to push him halfway into the middle point, stack them. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, all right. I left this better than I found it. I'm good with that. But I want to get back to the passion part.
Yeah.
And I think we're talking about passion when in actuality, I want to switch to the word professionalism, right? What you did was a passion, Jam.
Mm-hmm.
You were passionate about how well you hunted. You were passionate about gathering your data. We need everyone to have a level of professionalism, and it's a professionalism in your craft, which could be a passion. If it's a passion of yours, we have a lot of people here that they want to drive a truck and they want to be perfect and they have a passion for it. And we have some others that aren't as passionate, right? No fault to their own.
Yeah.
They can come in and do it just fine.
But be professional.
Yes,
right?
We need a level of professionalism and knowing how to chain, knowing where to chain, knowing when to chain, knowing how fast to go with chains, knowing to know you have bungees on your chains. You know what I mean? All of these things, you need the data, you need the education. I'll say the word, you need the passion, but you need the level of professionalism, because we need to be professional out there. We need to raise the bar. The majority of the accidents that happen on that I-70 corridor are from out-of-state trucks that don't know this. Here we are, a local trucking company, and my eyes have been opened to that I-70 corridor this last 2 weeks. with all the snowfall. I mean, last week was rough. I seriously, man, my gut hurt. And that's no lie, man. I told Jim, I had 2 drinks Saturday, and I'm not a drinker. Like when I got home, I was physically and mentally done for the week. And Janet asked me, she's like, are you guys good? Are you prepared for this? We're in it. You know what I mean? We got to win it. And the thing is, we can do it. It's really not that big a deal.
Right.
It's just another step up in our game that we can show everyone how badass we are, how well we can do the job, and how easy it can be done. And, we've got people out there making it look extremely easy. We've got some others that we need to coach up and help through the process.
They're on their way to becoming professional.
Yes.
I'll tell you what.
So, and sorry to interrupt you, Jam.
I was interrupting you.
I just, I have to let everyone know that's done this. And I know we've mentioned it a couple times in the podcast. You are a warrior if you've made this run already, right? You're a warrior if you've changed. You're a warrior even if you've made a mistake, because you went out and you tried to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's way more, we talk about this. I don't know. I can't remember if you have a saying for it, Jam, but you talk about the fighter, the guy sitting outside the ring criticizing the fighter that's losing, and his nose bloodied. What gives him the right? Right? What gives him the right?
Yeah.
I'm not the man in the ring. They were out there doing it. Kudos to them. I'm impressed, right? And let us help you get better.
There's a couple guys that struggled a little bit more than other guys.
Yeah.
Right? Those guys are going to be better drivers. The next time they go out to Redmond, especially if they have good weather,
right,
it's going to seem like the easiest thing they've done in a long time. Like, I just need to drive there and not worry about weather and not worry about adverse and not worry. Like, they're going to go out there and rock it out.
Yeah.
Or they're going to hit some weather and understand, like, I remember throwing chains last time. Here's what I did wrong.
Yep.
Here's how I fix it.
Yep.
That experience is going to make them better.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, listen, we gave out a ton of wrong advice with the weather exemption.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We didn't help anyone with giving the wrong advice.
Also, apology to JR, because we were talking about personal conveyance yesterday. I told him the wrong thing because he has been telling people you can use it. And I told him the wrong thing, that you can't. And then we corrected that before the podcast. We looked up the law.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
But it can't be abused.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It has to, everything's going to be being used. I want to go back, Dave, listening to the key on professional that Jam's shot there was passionate, but except for being paid, you became professional. You're a professional hunter. And I know
you're passionate about it.
and he's passionate about it, but I'm thinking, a professional athlete, they get paid. But then I worked all around in my mind, you're a professional truck driver. You are getting paid.
Yes.
You are getting paid. So become professional. Take that next leap and maybe it'll become passionate for you.
Yeah. Honestly, all glory to God on that. Yeah, my story, his glory. It was crazy.
And then one other thing, Jam, and I didn't have it with me, but I mentioned to you all the deer on the course playing golf this weekend, and Dave joked with me because I know the elk up in Estes is huge too, all in the parks and stuff like that. But I so badly wanted to take my phone and hold it up to my rangefinder, because a deer was literally like 25 yards in front of me. And go, here's my shot. I'm trying not to hit the deer with the golf ball,
right?
And I couldn't get it to work to send to you. So,
man, there was some big bucks on the course.
Oh yeah. There was does or bucks. There was all sorts of animals, and I'm like, this, and the girls, they were like, I think I'm going to hit it. Because we couldn't really go, and I'm like, we got to go. I mean, I guess if you hit the deer with the golf ball, hopefully it doesn't really hurt. I don't know.
Those animals just get so used to that.
They do, Dave.
I mean, when I was spreading fertilizer on that golf course up in Estes Park, man, I'm literally like pushing them with the truck. Get them out of the way. You'd pepper them with I would think, okay, I'll rattle them with some fertilizer, the pellets. Because I tell you what, it gets your damn attention when you do that.
Was deer or elk or what?
Elk. Elk.
Really?
Didn't phase them.
Really?
Didn't phase them. And I mean, I'm telling you, when you get peppered with that thing, you know it. As a
they're
human,
little
right?
BB stings.
Yeah.
When we turned it on, I helped you clean
absolutely.
it. Yeah. There was a coyote, same kind of thing. They walked right up to the carts.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Like people have fed the coyote, which is really wrong.
Yeah.
Because it.
Did you guys pet the deer?
Just about, Dave.
I'll tell you what, they must have known it wasn't hunting season down there or something, because those elk and the deer, and as soon as that first light on that first day of hunting season, they get smart.
Yeah, I'll have to get it from Jenny, but she literally, I'm like, you going to take a selfie with the deer? And it like dawned on her ball was just there in like 20 yards. So she did. It looked like she's got a selfie with the deer standing right behind her. Kind of like who did that with the cow at the dairy had the selfie.
Somebody did. I forget who that
Sergio.
was.
Was it Sergio? Yeah, Sergio did it, I think.
Oh, I had another question from the audience from Martinez. I almost forgot. Better late than never, I guess.
It's from Martinez's. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Question for the brothers. Now that we're all running Utah and laying over, wanted to know, have the brothers ever thought about using CLC, which stands for Corporate Lodge Cards, for our hotels? Thanks, Bam Bam 0019.
No, I guess we'll have to ask her. I've never even heard of it.
Learning every day, because we're looking into other gas cards so that we can gas at a fuel at a different station.
That's a program that you enroll in. I think it probably costs money too, but you get discounts at lodging and probably restaurants and for being commercial drivers and stuff.
I know the card we're looking into will be our fuel card, but then you can get a personal card that every time you fuel, even though you're using ours, you can use yours for discounts.
Oh, that's
a personal card at the station.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can go in and build points.
Yeah, build points.
It's like perks points, right? You can go in and get a free coffee or a hot dog or
half
chips
off
or
a fountain drink,
soda or whatever.
a free can of chew.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're after no cigs and rigs.
Oh, look at that. No trans and Trump.
I see what you did there.
Oh,
I got to throw in one more shout out, and it's kind of funny, you guys. I hadn't really thought about it because it's been nice to have a podcast with no politics, right? I mean, we're not ranting and raving and talking about this and talking about that. And now we just have to wait and see what goes on, and we hope for the best, right? But I want to throw a thank you out there to everyone that jumped in, voted. You know, I had Lexi and Andrew. I really worked them over pretty hard in the Wash Bay about have you guys registered to vote? And I've been on them for 6 months. And, you know, I hit them a week or two before and then got right down to the wire. I was so proud of them too. They came in and they were like, hey, I just want to let you know I voted. We got registered and voted. It was last minute, but we went and did it. And they were so excited about it. And then I've just had so many other people approach me that, you know, have been thankful for being involved and getting involved and talking to people and understanding the truths and, or, you know, beliefs. Everybody can believe what they want. You know what I mean? But I'm just thankful for the engagement. And I just want to say that I truly believe the majority of our people are engaged, and it's been an exciting process.
so exciting.
Right?
By the way, I mean, I know we talked about taking the signs down, but congrats to Gabe Evans.
I was just going to say that, Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't know
CD8.
last Wednesday.
Right?
CD8, and we got the House.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, the Senate, the
Yeah.
presidency. It feels good to win.
Yeah. Yeah. There could be some change happening here in Colorado, you know, with Gabe's seat, that puts that 4-4, and that's pretty interesting.
Nice.
That's pretty damn interesting. So yeah. Good stuff.
All right, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Challenge 23 podcast. Hit that follow button. Also, don't forget to go back to listen to episode 72. Tell Find Amber's mom. Links to her story will be in today's show notes. Let's say the creed and get on out.
Let's do it.
Together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are the JFW family.
Ooh, thanks,
Have a great
everybody.
week, everybody.
Be safe.
Be safe. 3 points of stance. Safety has no blind spots.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, 'cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. I hear there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. They just keep them doors a-closed, keep them butts in their seats, 'cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.